Hello, welcome to the Lone Show. I'm your host, John Malone, and in this episode, I've brought on Eric Taylor. And as for our guest, he's from Knoxville, Tennessee. He's a comic book creator, Cult of Dracula, and Rise of Dracula, both books that he is an author of. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Rich Davis.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Great.
Thanks
So,
for having
how's
me.
anytime? How's life?
Oh, life is actually pretty good. I'm traveling constantly promoting Rise of Dracula, which is in stores now. So I'm in the middle of doing about 15 straight weeks of trips to different comic conventions all over the U.S. And so yeah, life is definitely good. It's fun, but a little bit tiring.
Okay, cool. So, what got you into becoming an author?
I've always been a storyteller. My mom tells stories about when I was a kid. I would just entertain her adult friends with these just fantastical things out of my imagination. So, it's that creative spark and that pull has always been there. So, it just kind of made sense as I got older, and started kind of narrowing down what I wanted to do with my life, that I would end up gravitating toward writing stories in one form or another. I didn't necessarily expect it to be comic books. I started my career thinking I was going to be a playwright and a screenwriter. So life takes some twists and turns, and here I am writing comic books.
Okay, great. Now, tell me more about the books that you have recently written.
Yeah, so Cult of Dracula is a modern reimagining of Stoker's original story set within a Manson family inspired cult. So when I set out to write Cult of Dracula, I knew that I didn't want to tell the same story of a creepy Eastern European dude with a widow's peak and a tuxedo in Victorian London. I mean, that story has been told so many times and so well. There really wasn't anything I could possibly add to it. If you want that story, there are lots of other versions that you can go and consume. So when I decided to create Cult of Dracula, I knew there was a story that I wanted to tell, but I wanted it to be true to what Stoker originally intended with Dracula, but I also wanted to package it in a completely new and interesting way. So I started researching vampire folklore and mythology from all over the world, not just Western folklore, but also Eastern and African and Native American folklore. And I started noticing that there was a character that appeared almost universally in all of these different cultures. It was always a woman. She was outcast from society, forced to live in the shadows, and to survive, she had to consume the innocence or the life force of children. And thought that sounded a heck of a lot like a vampire. So when I started with Cult of Dracula, I started with the seed, the idea that each one of these figures and each one of these folklores and mythologies were all Dracula, but just interpreted differently by the cultures, the people who observed her and their cultural backgrounds. And so once we were able to do that, it opened up this whole new world of storytelling possibilities. And now we're in the second volume. Rise of Dracula issue 6 hits shelves this month, and then we'll have the conclusion of the trilogy Reign of Dracula starting later on this year. Probably, I think issue 1 hits shelves in October.
Okay, excellent. Eric, do you have any questions for good old Rich?
Yeah. Is your name Rich or are you actually rich?
Just the name, unfortunately.
Okay.
I tell people, with all the traveling, I'm living the rock star lifestyle just without all the sex, drugs, and money.
Yes. That's yeah.
All the fun stuff.
Oh, all right. Also, like, has there ever been a time in your life where you considered doing something else?
Oh, yes. I will say my life has been many things, but it has never been boring. I've worked in radio as an on-air talk show host. I've worked in newspapers. I've worked in television and film. I owned a theater for many years. I owned a bar. I worked for two presidential campaigns and one senatorial campaign, and I own a comic book store. And now I get to write comics for a living. So yeah, I've never been afraid to try different things to find out what I'm going to enjoy doing.
Okay. Wow.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Is there any more books you're planning on to write eventually in a few weeks or months or so?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got several things coming down the pike from Source Point Press, my publisher. Rise of Dracula issue 6 hits shelves this month. Reign of Dracula, which will be the 6-issue conclusion to the Dracula saga, it starts in October of this year. And then in probably first quarter of 2023, I'm releasing a book called Prometheus in Chains, which is a new take on Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Then we'll be doing World of Dracula, which we've not really released all the details of that, but that's going to be a fun story to tell. And I've got a children's book announced called Brontosaurus Brown. So that's going to be really fun and interesting to write. And then there's several projects that, we've not really put out there in the public yet, but I plan to keep writing comics as long as they let me do it.
Okay. Great. Great. I can actually hear myself from your mic.
Yeah, I can hear you too.
Oh, I am so sorry.
No, it's fine. It's just. I
Is that
wonder what
better?
else. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good. If you could erase one past experience, what would it be?
Ooh, wow. That's a tough one. A past experience that I would erase. I guess I would choose any of the times in the last 15 years that my Tennessee Volunteer football team has lost to the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Okay. I mean, I respect that. Yeah, I respect that.
They probably won't get this because they probably don't watch American football, but but yeah, so I'm a big sports fan as well, and I love my Vols, and yeah, we've suffered some really tough losses to Alabama over the years. So yeah, I would definitely love to erase those events.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So what inspired you to become a comic book writer?
It was kind of interesting. As I said, I started thinking I was going to be a playwright or a film screenwriter. And so I wrote Cult of Dracula originally as a stage play, and it was very successful. It won several North Carolina theater awards. And so I decided after that I wanted to adapt it into a screenplay. And I was working on that. Unfortunately, while I was working on that, my wife became very seriously ill. She ultimately passed away in 2020. Um, but So I kind of gave up on the screenplay because I didn't have the time to put toward developing a film and doing the fundraising and everything that's necessary to create an independent film. So I actually deleted the script, and my wife Amber got so incredibly pissed at me for doing that. Because she didn't want me to give up on it. I mean, she just yelled at me and just lit into me like crazy. And luckily, she had an old PDF version of the script that I had sent to her, and so she made me get back to work on it. And she was like, okay, I get it. We can't do a film because we don't have time to raise 10-20 million dollars to do a film, but why don't you do a comic book? You don't need that much money. You could do, for $10,000-$15,000, you could do, a really good comic with with a professional artist. And, so why don't you do that? And she just didn't let me give up. And I'm so very thankful that she believed in me and forced me to stick with it. Because if she hadn't, I wouldn't be sitting here today. I would just, still be piddling around with this idea in my head with, never doing anything with it.
Okay, great. So, what have been the high and low points about being an author or comic book writer?
It's really awesome. Going to conventions and seeing people there who have already engaged with my book. They've purchased it, they've read it, they're there, they want me to sign it. That's super exciting. And last year, the cover art from Cult of Dracula was chosen to be the badge art at New York Comic Con. So it was a really cool and surreal experience walking around one of the largest comic conventions on the planet and seeing just thousands of people with my book around their neck. So that was really fun, and I decided to have some fun with it. So I got my buddy Sean McCardle, who's also a comic creator. He's the writer of The Führer and the Tramp. And so I had him follow me around with a camera, and we just randomly walked up to people at New York Comic Con and said, "Hey, can I sign your badge?" And so just walking around, people wearing the Cult of Dracula badge around their neck, and I was just randomly signing it and having some great conversations. So that was a fantastic day, and so far as a creator, that's definitely been the high point.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So,
Yes.
if someone wrote a book about you, what do you think its title would be?
Mediocre white guy.
Okay.
What do you think the cover art
No,
would
there's
be?
this concept that we joke about, the mediocre white guy who just he's not really super talented, really doesn't belong, but he just lucks his way into doing things because he's not afraid to try. So yeah, my friends and I, we joke about that all the time, and so yeah, I think that'd be a fun, quippy title for my autobiography.
Okay. Cool.
Hmm. So if the inside of your head was an island, what would it look like?
It would probably look like a very, very strange, isolated island where part of it is just like a burnt out husk from like where there's been a volcano eruption, and the other side is like a big, lush jungle, and there's probably going to be like some polar ice caps and penguins on it somewhere, and probably some Salvador Dali melting clocks around. So yeah, it'd be inside my brain would not be a fun island to live on. It'd be a little crazy, I think.
Yeah, it's a little random and unique.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to walk around in this head for too long.
Nah, of course not. So, what was the stupidest joke you've ever heard?
Stupidest joke I've ever heard. That's a good one too. Probably some random knock knock joke because I always hated those as a kid because they were so predictable.
Yeah.
Maybe the interrupting cow knock knock joke. It's funny the first time you hear it, but then every time after that, it's just you roll your eyes a little bit harder every time.
Yeah, it just gets annoying.
Yeah, I'm not
It
gonna
does.
lie. I'm not gonna lie. Do people even still make knock knock jokes anymore?
That's what I was gonna say. Who
Yeah,
does that?
little kids love them.
I mean, I remember making them back in like elementary school, but that's about
Yeah.
I did that back in nursery.
it.
Oh man, those were the
Maybe the
days.
only worst joke would be pull my finger.
Oh yes, that joke.
People still do that.
Oh yeah, old guys at at birthday parties love to do that.
Of course.
Yeah, because I don't know. I probably wouldn't do that because I don't know. For some reason, I feel like if I said pull my finger, like just someone who is for some reason frequent really strong would like dislocate my finger or something. Like I'm afraid.
Rip it right off.
Yeah, right.
That'd be scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I don't do that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. What's your strangest hidden talent?
Strangest hidden talent. I can actually rock out a really awesome karaoke rendition of Vanilla Ice's "Ice Ice Baby."
Hmm. Okay. That's pretty cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Word for word.
Yeah.
uh,
If you opened a business, what kind of business would it be?
Well, I've opened up a bar, I've opened up a theater, I've opened up a comic book store. So I'm no stranger to setting up new businesses in my life. But I think if I were to set up a business today, I would set up an animal rescue for senior dogs. That's a big something that's been very important to me. Rescuing animals, making sure that stray dogs find homes, and especially elderly dogs, because a lot of people won't adopt them because of their age, and they need love too. So if I could start a business, another one today, that I think that's what I would do. I'd open up a kennel to take care of dogs, and attached to that would be an animal rescue for senior dogs.
you know, yeah, yeah, that's true. I don't get it. I mean, I know they're old, but they still need love.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. And I
Absolutely. Yeah.
understand, people, if you adopt a senior, there's a good chance that, eventually it is going to pass on. But, you just the way I look at it is you make every moment count that you do have with them, and don't worry about when it's going to end.
Right. Exactly.
Oh yes.
I don't know, paint a portrait of it, like, so you can remember it when it does die.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
Or something. Like, do something, like take pictures, like.
yeah,
Oh yes.
because they need love too.
Exactly.
Absolutely. What is the one thing you can't live without?
So the practical thing to say here would be my cell phone, and that's absolutely sure, but true. But the kind of funny thing is, I couldn't live without milk. I love milk. I could drink it with just about every meal. So yeah, I would have a very difficult time surviving without it.
Hmm. Okay. Cool. Cool. We all need calcium once in a while.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. What's the best way to travel?
First class.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to be on a long ride, or long flight. You want to have one of those where you can just lay back and take a nap.
Yeah.
But I've also always thought it'd be really cool to travel around Europe on a train. Just take a train tour across Europe. That'd be really fun. And then maybe take a drive down Route 66 to drive across the United States. That'd be a very interesting way to travel too.
Yeah. Absolutely. Would you consider yourself to be an extrovert or an introvert?
I am an extroverted introvert. I can flip the switch and be the boisterous social butterfly. I don't have any problem being in front of crowds, or being in big groups of people, but it kind of drains me. So I would prefer just to be home with a small intimate group of people, with having nice conversation, nice food, something like that. So I can be extroverted when necessary, but I'm pretty much an introvert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah. Same here. I hardly, you know, like there are times where I'm just mostly inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm also like that. I don't mind being around people, but there are times I just want space, time to myself, and yeah.
Yeah, we need that. You need time to yourself to think and kind of recharge the batteries, and just kind of, just reset your worldview a little bit.
Mhm. Absolutely. So
Definitely helps.
yeah, if you could travel back in time, what decade do you want to live in?
Wow. Oh, that's a great one. I would I'd love to travel back in time and live during the Italian Renaissance in Florence. To be there, to be able to walk the streets with Sandro Botticelli and Lorenzo de Medici, and all of these just amazingly influential artists who happen to be concentrated in this one place at this one time in human history. I would love to travel back in time and just experience that.
Yeah, we all do.
Hey, hey, John May, what time would you want to go back? Or what time would you want to live in if you can go back in time?
Well, to be honest, I do like the vibes of the 2000s, before life got complicated.
Well, that's funny because I was gonna say the same thing.
Who knew we think sort of like?
Right.
Right.
What kind of music do you often listen to?
I've got a pretty eclectic music taste. I listen to everything from hip hop to southern rock, classic rock. I listen to EDM music quite a bit. So I do like music, but I think if I had to really kind of choose a specific genre, probably lean more toward folk music. I like songs that tell stories. And I like bluegrass. I like guitars. So I think folk music would probably be my favorite genre if I had to choose one.
Okay. Cool. What was the last good book you've read?
The last good book I read was good book I read was Good Boy, Volume 1 from Garrett Gunn at Source Point Press. It's a comic book. It's kind of John Wick from the dog's point of view. Instead of John Wick avenging the death of his dog, it's the dog avenging the death of his owner. And it's a fantastically well written book. And the art is fantastic as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed Good Boy from Garrett Gunn quite a bit.
Interesting concept. I don't know, thought of it that way.
Yeah.
So, have you ever saved a person's or animal's life?
I have actually. I saved a dog's life. It was actually our dog Yogi. We adopted him, and he was this little tiny guy, a little bitty, short, stumpy legs. This cute little guy. But he was out in our backyard during the winter. We're out there doing something, and he got a little bit too close to our pool, and somehow he fell in. And so, with his little stumpy legs, he really couldn't swim very well. So I had to jump in, dive into the pool. It's probably 9 or 10 degrees outside. It's freezing cold. There's snow all around. And I dove into this freezing green water to pull him out. And I tell you, I have never. Once I got him out of there, I had to jump in the shower, and I took the hottest shower I have ever taken in my life just to get warm because I was so cold.
Oh dear, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. But all was well. Yogi was fine afterward, and I eventually got warm.
Yeah, that's nice. If you can make one wish right now, what would it be?
Besides more wishes?
Besides more wishes.
I
That's
would,
too obvious.
Right, that's too easy. I would wish that that I have the opportunity to continue writing comics for the rest of my life.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, guys. I apologize for my dog. He heard the door and just started barking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I love dogs.
Yeah, he's very protective of me.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
I like that.
But what was the question again?
I think he already answered the question I've asked him.
Oh, okay.
So, who was the last person you talked to?
The last person I talked to today was my manager, Lori Sorensen, who is she helped helped arrange for me to come onto your show. So she was just before I came on air with you guys, we were touching base talking about doing this show, and then catching my flight to head to Orlando for MegaCon this weekend.
Oh, okay. Nice, nice.
Yeah.
If your life was a meal, what kind of meal would it be?
It would be some kind of stew, maybe a jambalaya, a little bit spicy, a whole lot of crazy ingredients that don't necessarily go together, but somehow they work really well in this stew. So, yeah, I think in a very eclectic stew.
Nice, nice. So, what bad habits do you want to get rid of?
Bad habits. I bite my nails. I'd like to stop doing that. It's a habit when I get, anxious or uncertain or frustrated when I'm trying to write or something and I can't get an idea. If I've got that kind of block, I'll nibble on my fingernails. So that would be a bad habit I would love to get rid of.
Oh, okay.
Would you also like nibble at the skin too, if like you had no more nails to nibble?
Probably, yeah. When you get down to the nub and you're like, when you start eating to the knuckle, then you got a problem.
Yeah.
Do you ever travel often?
Oh, I travel way too often right now. Doing the conventions and store signings and things like that to promote Cult of Dracula and now Rise of Dracula. I think I'm traveling somewhere in the neighborhood of 18 to 20 weeks out of the year.
Okay, that's
Wow.
nice.
Yeah. So it's a lot. I've definitely racked up a bunch of sky miles this year.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Do you know a guy named Klaus?
I have never met anyone named Klaus. The only two Klaus I know are from American Dad and from Umbrella Academy on
I
Netflix.
was just about to say, I was just thinking American Dad too. That's my favorite, like that's my favorite
I
cartoon.
love American Dad.
Yeah,
Oh, it's so good.
I'm not gonna lie, I like it more than Family Guy.
I do too. It's a
Yeah.
better show.
Yeah.
Exactly. Who's your favorite character?
I love Stan. He's just so ridiculously clueless. I love Stan. Steve is a lot of fun, and Toshi just cracks me up every time he's on in a scene. I don't. He just makes no sense to me. He's a complete absurd character, and I love it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I like Steve too. Like Steve and Stan are like my two favorites. I like Roger. I like
Yeah.
Roger as well.
Yeah, I liked Roger a lot more in the beginning of the show, and then later in a lot of seasons, they started to kind of focus too much on Roger, I thought, and he's a lot,
Oh,
you know,
I,
and too much of him in an episode is not a good thing.
yeah. I feel like they started doing that because like they realized that he was a crowd favorite, but they just kind of
Yeah.
phoned it in too much.
Yep, they gave him, they didn't do it in moderation, and they're like, oh, people like this character. We're just going to put him in every scene. He's kind of like Wolverine for Marvel in the '90s and 2000s. Any book with struggling sales, they just throw Wolverine into it, and that'll boost sales for a month. So they use Roger a bit too much, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So if I had to like say I had a favorite character, it would be Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So, and that is all we have for this episode. It was great having you here, Rich, talking about your books, your upcoming events, and everything else. It's been amazing.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, guys. Had a good time, and best of luck to you, and look forward to hearing more from you guys down the line.
Same with me.
Same here.
All right, guys. Well, take care, and we'll chat again soon, I hope.
All right.
Me too.
All right.
And
Bye-bye.
bye.
Bye.
And until next time, stay tuned for more.